Welcome back to Super Tuesday Recap Mailbag. This is your host, Chris and Deepom here. Is that time again? Is the end of the month. I swear to God, August flew fucking by. I feel like we just did this one. I feel like we just did one after San Diego Comic-Con. And here we are, end of August. Time to do a mailbag. We read listener email. You guys send us in your emails and we read them. And we discuss news topics of the day, things that come in the news. And I swear, like last week I was like, oh shit, we have a mailbag next week. We don't have any emails. We don't have any real topics. And we have a full show today. Go figure.
It's amazing how that works, huh?
Yeah, it's so funny because we're in podcast groups and I see people talking about show notes and finding topics to talk about. And I'm like, yeah, I really don't do show notes. Sometimes we just kind of we throw shit together at the last minute and it always seems to work. So
it really does.
I don't know. So, all right, but we always start every show talking, reading listener emails. So we have 3 today. We'll go ahead and read those. First one's all the way from Sweden. We're reaching out there. This is from Anton. Hi, Chris and Deepom. Greetings from Sweden. With the Venom movie almost here. This just feels weird to say that.
Why did you remind us, man? I had literally forgotten that this was coming.
I mean, October's almost here. You know what's weird? Oh no, it's the week after I get back from New York Comic Con. I was gonna say I might actually miss the screener for it, but
you're not gonna miss it.
No,
one of us, someone.
We do it so you don't have to.
It's not going to be me. I'll tell you that much.
With the Venom movie almost being here, that I'm frankly dreading. I see. We were ahead of the curve. That I'm frankly dreading. And the news about what else Sony has planned for the characters they have rights to, it reminded me of an article Chris wrote titled "How Sony Lost Spider-Man," which was where I originally learned how Marvel owned the merch rights for Spider-Man since 2011. Yeah, that's the article I wrote when I wrote about how that damn opening to Spider-Man Homecoming, where they play the original Spider-Man theme with the Marvel Cinematic Universe logo.
It's a wrap. It was over from that moment. It's like, oh, okay, so that's all right. Wow.
Look, we're gonna get to the rest of the email, but you know what? As soon as I heard about the Fox Disney deal, you can find places that they've done the same thing with the X-Men animated series music with the MCU dog. It's dog.
Let's go.
Let's go. I'm just telling you guys. Go on YouTube and find that shit. Just type in X-Men theme song MCU. Bruh, listen.
I'm ready.
Listen, it is truly amazing, and I honestly can't wait for that. Anyway, back to the email. I don't know if you guys have an answer to this, but like the article says, that would be the case for Venom, and at the time planned, now canceled Silver and Black. Well, kind of canceled. They're doing now Silver Sable and Black Cat as separate movies.
So why are you perpetuating their lies in this podcast?
Allegedly.
Don't even let them say it.
Allegedly. And that it hasn't changed since then. And I guess you're talking about the merch rights. Yeah, I believe the merch rights still are about the same. I know the relationship between Sony and Marvel isn't as contentious as it was with Fox. And so I know they do tend to they did some adjusting stuff with like the animated the Sony, I think, has some of the animated show has their animated rights, and they've gone back and forth with that stuff. So, I think that hasn't changed. If so, it'll be. Let's go back to the email. If so, it will be interesting to see how much it will affect Venom in terms of how financially successful it ends up being. In the same way that the Amazing Spider-Man 2 was affected by it, assuming that it will affect it much at all, along with their other planned movies, especially with the projections for Venom saying that it will have the biggest opening weekend for a movie coming out in October month. All right, so. One, who is saying that it's going to have the biggest I have not seen that. Is that really what it's projected for right now?
I haven't seen it. I mean, maybe. I don't know. Like you said, the fall's been crazy.
So
I don't know what's projected in October. Maybe they're something out. I don't know.
Because that's the thing, too. It's like, it's October. So, like, being, like, the highest projected, opening weekend in October is like saying
it is still a blockbuster in October.
Yeah, it's like I'm like I'm the tallest man standing in shit. Like I'm still standing in shit. But you're right. You know, if with the merchandising rights not there, I know Marvel is making buku money on. Actually, here's the thing though. They're not really though, because that was the whole thing with in the MCU starting is they kept the merchandising rights for all the stuff they had they sold movie rights for, but they weren't making any off the movie. So
right.
I'm not sure. I think the problem with
a comic book movie spike for something like a Spider-Man or Spider-Man related property. Spider-Man is the most profitable merchandise hero on the planet.
Right.
And so to say, it's hard to say year by year or quarter by quarter how much Venom is going to affect that marketing or that number. It's hard to gauge. So it's unfair for us to try to describe how much fiscal success it would add to Sony if they had the merch rights. It's one of those questions you can't answer.
Right. That and I'll also say this. To be fair to Sony in this respect, I mean. And this was kind of a downside to this because they're using a CGI suit. I don't think they spent a lot of money on this. So I think that's like the TASM 2 thing is an outlier even for Sony in this case because they spent too much money. I mean, the budget for that movie was like, what, 220, 250 or something like that? And so they spent a...
studio got involved too. I rewatched that movie recently. It's not as bad as people say it is.
What, TASM 2?
Yeah.
No, it's not at all. I like that movie. I actually do. Yeah. So, but I think that but they did spend a lot of fucking money on it. They spent a lot of money. They spent a lot of money, and not just on the movie, on the marketing too. And so that's what hurt. That's what hurt TASM 2. I don't think even with the merchandising rights not so not having the merchandising thing, take that out of it. I don't see unless Venom. Like, literally, it has to bomb, which I honestly don't think it will. I don't think it'll be good,
no.
But I also don't think it's going to bomb because, again, nothing really comes out in October. Enough people are going to be interested that first weekend, and I don't think they spend a lot of money on it. I think that they can be a financial success. Now, the question will be, is it enough financial success for Sony to go forward with the other products? I really do believe that's partly why Silver and Black got broken out into 2 movies and has been kind of placed on hold, and the rest of their slate is put on hold. I do believe they're waiting to see what Venom will do.
I think they know what it's going to do, and that's why it got split.
Yeah, could be. I mean, could be.
They know what they made.
Yeah, no. At this point, I think they do. Yeah. I'm telling you guys what I don't think it'll be good. Again, maybe I'll be surprised. I'll be pleasantly surprised. Don't think I will be.
Remind everyone, making money does not equal good. Like, let's just make that very clear too.
Oh yeah.
Because it could make money. Because this is a popular character that people apparently want to see, and quality be damned with some of these people's opinions.
Well, and again, if they didn't spend a lot of fucking money on it.
Right. Easier to turn that profit.
It's easier to turn a profit. And it goes along with that. It goes along with what there's... I mean, because here's the thing. I mean, we talk about, if Marvel was smart... I mean, if Sony was smart, they would just do like Marvel did and use, learn from Marvel. Maybe one of the things they learned from Marvel with Spider-Man Homecoming is we don't have to spend a lot of fucking money to make some money. So
right.
that could be one of the things that come back and bite us in the ass as fans. It's like, damn, Sony didn't learn. They learned the wrong fucking lesson. Well, they learned the right lesson, but like we didn't want them to learn that lesson. So I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, I honestly, I think that, and you got to also remember, there could be 2 things here. We could also see, to me, the more interesting movie that Sony's doing comic book wise is Into the Spider-Verse. Because I think that if now that can make them money, maybe that'll push them into believing that maybe they can do a Miles movie. I know I've had people come back to me and say, hey, don't tell them, like, listen, unless something drastic happens and, like, again, throwing this out in the universe, Disney buys Sony Pictures. Sony's not giving up the Spider-Man rights. So either Sony keeps doing what they're doing with making a bunch of non-Spider-Man movies, or they somehow they start doing Miles movies after Tom Holland's contract is up with Marvel within the MCU. So, like I said, I don't know. I want Sony to get right. I do.
I think honestly, they may never come up with the rights, but I think they'll never do an in-house Spider-Man again. Miles be damned. I think they'll never do it. There's too much. There's no win for them in saturating the market and making the joint Spider-Man less valuable. There's no win for them.
You're right. I mean, to me, if they were smart, they would figure out. They wouldn't do these other Spider-Man universe. What is it? We have the article for what they're calling.
I've already pretended like it's not going to happen, so if you don't say that, it's fine.
Their universes. But if they just, because here's the thing that drives me so crazy with what they're doing, they make all the money from the Spider-Man movie. Like, I don't understand why they're doing this. It's like, you guys made over $880 million with Spider-Man Homecoming, and you only had to pay like producer fees for Kevin Feige and that's it. Which is why this situation is going to be the holding pattern for a while. Yeah.
And these other Spider movies, they're just doing that to keep us interested for Venom. Like they may do a Venom trilogy. These other Morbius, those movies are never fucking happening.
And I think they're and let's also and again, while it annoys me, this is another smart thing that Sony's did. Playing that, well, is it or is it not going to be in the MCU, or is Tom Holland, is he or is he not going to be in this? Playing that game, even though, like, for most of us, we know the answer is no. Playing that game for the general masses, for the people who don't know any better, that might win. Like, because that's the thing.
Game. That play it.
Right.
We have a certain person in certain offices that just trucking disinformation. You believe it.
Right. I mean, honestly, that's one of the factors that we haven't factored into the Venom and doing well financially. How many people are going to see Venom? Hear that when that trailer comes in, the in association with Marvel is big as fuck.
Big as fuck.
A lot of people aren't going to understand the difference and going to assume that it's part of the universe. And, like, they don't know any better. So people that might get people into the theaters, at least that first fucking weekend, to go see the film. So, again, I think that, and I have to catch myself with this sometimes too, is being online, being in the know all the time, sometimes, like, removes me from the pulse of the average person who just does not know this information and doesn't have access to all the information we had that we know this. Like, there's going to be a lot of people out there who see that and think, oh, it looks interesting enough, and they're going to go see the opening weekend. So, anyway, sorry.
That second weekend drop's going to be fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. With DC's planned movie, never mind. Sorry, move on. With DC's planned movies already, movies apparently leaning towards more standalones rather than having a shared universe. I agree with you guys. It's a better strategy for them quality wise. However, one thing I hope they don't repeat for the pre-MCU days of superhero movies is each movie acting like the main character is the only superhero in the world of movies, unless the story of the movie benefits from it. If Shazam retroactively released as a standalone, as in not connected with what has previously been established in DC movies, I think it could work even with the references to Superman and Spider-Man, Superman and Batman they made in the trailer for it. And in the same way how the Krypton show was sold as taking place in a fully realized DC universe. Do you guys agree? I mean, yeah, and we have.
I disagree partially with the premise
of what,
like the references to Batman and Superman aren't like overwhelming things.
Oh yeah,
in the trailer, like they can leave all those shots in there. You can have nods and not have it be all these stories are telling one larger story. I'm okay with nods, and honestly, if you want to ignore the fact that other heroes exist, I'm okay with that too. Because right now I'm reading Batman, and I'm like, hey, it'd be really nice if Superman would just help him out here. But you don't think that because you like. I guess that's kind of like a conceit from the art form where you just kind of accept that. Oh, these are their stories.
But I think that's what the email is saying. I think that the email is basically agreeing with you. I think. And I agree, and I think that I think that like don't act like have Shazam come in and he's like, what's a superhero, and I'm that kind of like right that the early days of comic books where we're just like
you have to say like we got our own Superman as opposed to saying what's a superhero.
Right and no, and I agree, and like I said, we keep bringing this up when it comes to DC stuff. Like I do think solo Joker film aside, and the rumors around we'll deal with that later. But all those rumors aside, I do think like Deepam just said, like if you read Tom King's Batman, every now and then another character from the universe shows up and pops up, so it does exist in the larger world of DC. But like that Batman feels different than the Batman you read in a Justice League comic. Like they don't feel like there's two different stories going on. Like Batman and Tom King's Batman is going through some shit.
Some
shit. Right? And it's just like, and I think that's where, I honestly think that's the place where DC and WB can play really, really well in this comic, in comic book movies. I think that everybody got really caught up with what Marvel was doing with the cinematic universe. And I think that's great. I do not think that it has to be that way. You can do one-shot films. You can definitely do one-shot films. They don't have to be connected. Like Marvel took the idea of connected universe and did something that we never thought was possible. Actually making a connected universe. But before the MCU, what we always wanted was hey, I'm watching Batman. Wouldn't it be nice if Superman showed up for a second? Or I'm watching Superman. Like there was that one. It was a bad fucking movie, but in Batman and Robin, when Bruce says this is why Superman works alone or something like that, like doing things like that where we can realize a fully realized world without you don't need to have the characters necessarily there. And if you think about it, the MCU now is kind of doing that. Each film, yes, fits into a larger universe and a larger world. But they're their own thing. Like, Ant-Man and the Wasp, which is, was a great film, did its own thing. It only tied into Infinity War and anything else later on. One from them constantly dropping the idea of what Scott did in Civil War, but then the after credit scene with them disappearing after the snap. But like, that's all you need. Like you do that, you can tell your own story.
Like bumpers in comic books. It's their framing devices more than anything else. It's one story, sure, but Spider-Man's one story is about the Vulture. It's used because it comes from Avengers and then ties directly into Civil War. But excuse me, you're right. It's not the story's not dependent on its connection to the universe.
Yeah, like the problem with what one of the problems with BVS was. They decided they're trying to throw in Batman and his entire backstory and motivation. This new Batman, and we're trying to figure out what Batman they're showing. It's like you're doing too much. You should have just done a Batman film before. You could have shown us a different point of view, a different perspective. So then when you put Batman and Superman in a movie together, we're like, oh, we understand where the conflict is coming from. Or just don't have them do that. Just tell a Batman story, tell a Superman story, which I think that's where DC is at its best. Now. We've talked before about what Scott Snyder's doing with kind of connecting everything together with his Justice League run, and that's great. But again, I think the bread and butter for DC up to this point has been bringing in a creator, having them tell one story, and every now and then it crosses over. Every now and then it connects to a larger theme, but just tell a story. Gil, you can do.
What Tom King is setting up with Sanctuary, and we'll talk about when we get to the pull list. I'm 1,000% in for.
Oh yeah, and I'm not saying that they can't do it, but I'm just saying if you're going off of what like,
what historically works best for DC, because what happens with sells with DC is these hardcovers that are these one and done stories. You can get everything for the character for that run in that story. With Marvel, they don't just get you to buy one story; they get you to buy that one, and then like I got to buy the next one.
Oh, you're talking to people that just did the Hickman run, and we're just like,
I don't want to talk about Hickman anymore. I'm still a little shaken.
Right. No, but you're right, and I think that's the thing that WB has been so busy trying to chase after what the Marvel model is, not realizing like you have your own thing. Like, you know, at this point, WB and DC's brand film wise has been so damaged that when they say, hey, yeah, we're thinking about doing a Superman Red Sun movie, we all groan. But if you take out their history of them making just bad films and not doing them right and not doing them correctly, doing a Superman Red Sun film, fine. You can do that. You can do a Joker film. And like I said, I made the people were like, oh, we don't need a Joker film. I was like, oh, I can tell you exactly how you do a Joker film. You do it just like the almost I almost got him episode of the animated series.
I don't know if you read Brian Azzarello's one shot the Joker.
That
where just do that.
So
origin story. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, there's a way. Like I think the problem is DC has the stories, and for some reason, I think, and this is where I get so angry at DC and WB is they have the stories there. They have the source material. All they have to do is just do that. Like you have it. Like they're trying to reinvent the wheel, and they're bringing these directors in. And they're letting these directors, and I get it, they're letting these directors tell their own story, but I'm like, no, you need to tell the director to tell your story. This is not...
I think we got a question about the DCEU that touches on this later.
Yeah, we'll bring that in later, so I'm sorry. Let's move on.
Definitely bring that back.
Yeah, we'll revisit this. So, anyway, thanks for your email, Anton. Here we go. Sam writes in, hey, Deepom and Chris, thank you for recapping Hickman's Shield. I completely forgot about the second volume we were waiting to finish. I've been to everything on Marvel Unlimited that night, even though that led to some crazy dreams. I regret nothing, so my questions this month. Yeah, I can imagine you had some crazy fucking dreams. I'm not gonna lie. After I finished the Avengers run, I had some crazy dreams too. So
I want to just say this, and I'm a weirdo. Like I'm on these podcasts. I'm not the most normal person in the world. Jonathan Hickman, like reading a lot of it at once, is not conducive to healthy relationships. Because you're like, so I'm just saying, what if? And like you like talk about this with someone who doesn't read it, and you sound like a crazy person. I'm like, I know Da Vinci died, but what if he didn't? Like, what if Leonardo da Vinci was shaping the fate of the world? Let's just have a conversation. Let's just talk about it. What if Michelangelo, the power of the Lord? I don't know.
What if the Illuminati isn't who we think it is? Isn't like Beyonce and Jay-Z, but it's like Michelangelo, Da Vinci,
it's like,
Sir Isaac Newton.
The roots. Like, no, those are today. They didn't die. None of them. Like, I don't know. Let's just have a conversation, because isn't that kind of cooler? Like, isn't that a cooler reality? Where this shit's true?
So here,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, and the beauty of it, and I was talking about someone, again, I apologize, but you guys made me read it, so you're going to have to hear me talk about it. It's just so beautiful from an artistic point of view that the people who shape the world are literally the creatives.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just such a Hickman thing to do, because everything's like meta and told on 3 or 4 different levels. And yeah,
you know,
if anyone wants to talk about this at Dpalm66, I'll do it, because I have clearly to get out of my head.
The thing I love about it is there's 2 things we didn't bring up enough. One, that they're constant bringing up of the difference between science and magic really isn't anything. You know, right. It's like what is the difference between science and magic? 2, and I had this in my notes, and I forgot to bring this up during the Avengers stuff. I forgot that one of the writers that worked with Jonathan Hickman on the Avengers run was this guy named Nicholas Spencer.
Who could that be?
Interesting.
And you got to remember that, especially at Marvel, more so than DC, just apocryphally, they have those Marvel summits. Like the idea for Extermination, an event that's running right now, was pitched, and no one thought they'd do it. And then they later get email from editors like, "We're going to go with your idea." Like, that's how Marvel works. It's a very collaborative process, because, as we've said before, it's all one big story.
Yeah. Anyway, so here are the questions. What do you guys think was the best comic book based video game, non-Arkham edition? I hope this question makes Deepom purchase a PS4 and Spider-Man.
Fuck you.
Well, no. He said he's hoping that this question helps Deepom's purchase of a PS4 and Spider-Man be tax deductible. See, he's trying to help you out. See, making it.
My Venmo is open at dpalm66. I'm very consistent across social media. Everywhere you can find me under that tag. And let me say this. The best video game non-Arkham edition, and we may have, I don't know how we're going to do this. I don't know if we still do Playing Deads, but once Spider-Man drops, I am buying a PS4. And I'm buying this game. And if you're going to mock me for buying a system for one game, I mean, that's fine.
I'm doing the same thing. I'm hoping that the special edition PS4 Spider-Man just comes back into stock so I can get that. So.
Oh, I'm just going to I'm going to drive. There's like a Best Buy near my office, and I'm literally just going to drive over there and be like, I've got a better price online and see how low I can get it. I'm just going to bluff. The best video game comic book non-Arkham. Do you have an answer for this? I'm still thinking.
Yes. The X-Men Legends games.
Okay, yeah, the Marvel Ultimate Alliance, kind of the dungeon crawlers.
Yeah, I love those. We talked about some other games before, but like the X-Men Legends 1 and 2, I really, really enjoyed it. I actually think I still have the PC version of Legends 2 around here somewhere. But those are really, really fun.
That's a really good pull. I was going to go Marvel Ultimate Alliance, but I guess that's kind of the ancestor of those games. I guess DC side, I was trying to think of an answer for that one too.
Like
the Injustice games are fun as shit.
Yeah. I would say the Injustice games. Did anybody how was DC Online? I know it's free now, but the MMO. I could never get into MMOs.
Yeah, I mean neither. It's just not my bag.
Yeah, I think I did one MMO, the Star Wars Old Republic, and it wasn't even that it wasn't my bag. It was that I didn't want it to be.
Fair enough.
Because I literally did buy a laptop to play that, and I bought
you were in.
I started playing. I started spending too much time. And
it's a real conversation you're having. Are you serious?
Yeah, I had to stop. I just like, no, we can't do this anymore. This is gonna be bad. And I wasn't even really playing with other people. I mean, obviously it's MMO, so it's online, everybody's there. Yeah. But I didn't have enough friends, and I think that's the only thing that saved me. The only thing that saved me with that game is that there weren't a lot of other people playing. Because you guys know how I've fallen off of video games, but I did it for a reason. Because everybody knows of the epic things I've done with fucking Destiny. Like I spent way too much time playing Destiny. So no,
I never played. That's the habit. That and Gotham. I had one winter where I made two great decisions.
Oh yeah,
Destiny and Gotham, and I didn't touch either one. And my life is so much better for it.
No, it is. You know, this is not a video game thing, but this is so bad. I have this urge to get back into GTA because I've been watching. Like they still send you a bunch of it's still going strong.
So I don't play online. I just don't. I just can't. I don't. But I'm a sucker for a great story, so I may have started a replay of GT.
Oh no! You see? Don't tell me this.
I may have started a replay.
So I know this. That might be me this weekend. That might be me this weekend.
If I had Dragon Con all weekend, that's probably what I've been doing. Is I have time off. It's beautiful.
Might be this weekend.
I want to take back all my answers. The greatest comic video game that is non-Arkham edition is the X-Men side-scroller six-person arcade game.
Oh, of course. I mean, there's
your one.
Well, does the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game count too?
Okay, so of course I'm me, so I've had this conversation. I say no because it's specifically based on the cartoon.
Valid. Okay. No, that's a valid point. I take that answer.
All right.
This is crazy. Number 2, second question. I recently read the latest issue, the latest Rat Queens volume. I was wondering who was the Gary of the X-Men. How about the Avengers? So first question about this with Rat Queens. Question back to you. How is it? Because with the whole thing with Tess Fowler and what's it? Rock Upchurch, I think that was his name. Rock Upchurch. He was the original artist on it. Was committed domestic violence, and they replaced him with Tess Fowler. Then Tess Fowler had a falling out with the creator, and there was talk about Upchurch coming back, but he didn't. Like, I kind of just walked away from Rat Queens, which sucked because I really, 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 really fucking enjoyed Rat Queens, and it really was a good book. So if you're still reading it, please let me know what you think of it, because if you're saying it's good, I might have to quietly get back into reading it, because I really did. And I know Upchurch is not drawing it anymore, so I would really like to kind of get back to reading Rat Queens. So there's that. As far as who is the Gary of the X-Men, I was gonna my joke answer is Hank McCoy. The real answer for me is Beak.
All right, so we're doing this as we do this every time one of these comics comes up. I don't read independent, inconsistent comics until they're finished. I can't afford to get monthly invested if you're not going to give me monthly product. And if people are going to ridicule me and say, duh, I didn't read Y the Last Man until they said they were done.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, if I didn't read Y, which is one of my favorite books of all time, until it was done, the only series I'm doing this with is Jason Aaron's Southern Bastards, and I'm livid at myself. I'm so mad because I'm like, oh, another week, another month of solicitations, another month of no Southern Bastards, son of a bitch. And like, that's the relationship. I can't have that in my life. I just can't. I'm 33.
Like, and it's especially true of Rat Queens, because Rat Queens was really, really inconsistent. It was really inconsistent to begin with, and then with the whole controversy, it really, really, like, I didn't know when it was coming back. Then it was coming back. Then it wasn't. Then, like, I had to walk away. I had to walk away.
Yeah, like I support these books, man. Support these books, but
I will say, because we'll talk about this in the poll list. Uber Invasion is a good one to get, because they Gillen in the back usually tells you what the schedule is and like what they're working on, so so you're not constantly looking at the solicit to figure out when the next issue is coming out. They tell you when it's coming out, and they'll tell you when they're taking a break and when they're not. So that's a good thing. As far as the Gary for the Avengers, who is like the Avengers that everybody would just tell to shut the fuck up and not listen to?
It's Clint.
I was gonna say Hawkeye. I was gonna say that, but I didn't.
Clint.
Okay. Okay.
Clint gets to be valorous and like taken seriously in his own book.
Yeah. All right. I was gonna say that, but I didn't want to offend anybody. So okay.
Who are we offending? Hey, deaf archers at DPalm66.
You guys have done a deep dive on Hickman's Marvel run this month. Have you tried any of his image stuff like East of West or the Manhattan Projects? Anything else of his you would suggest? I've heard good things about those things. I have not read them myself yet, though.
You are legitimately the third person today to ask about East of West. I have not read it. One of those people is the best man at my wedding who's harassing me about it. The same way I harassed you about Fringe, he's that way about East of West.
Oh, it means you're not going to read it, so okay.
I'm just putting my heels in now, like, screw you, man. So yeah, I get it. No, I wanted to read East of West. I've heard good things. I honestly think, I was talking to someone else about this. My brain needs a break. Like the next creator thing we do, like honestly, I was going to talk to you about this. I'll do it on the air now. We should do Ultimate Spider-Man.
We are which one? Oh, Peter.
We should I'm saying from the beginning, like do like 50 issue chunks of Ultimate Spider-Man.
Oh, for that. Oh, yeah.
Do the whole Bendis run.
Yeah, we should. Okay. All right. We're already doing a Rob. We can do that. We can do that. You know what that would be?
I was looking at the PS4 trailer, and I was like, gosh, really.
That would be a good one for October.
I'm all about it. I'm so in.
All right, let's do that for October. All right.
I own all those trades.
All right. We're in.
Look at that.
See, this is how the magic is made, people. It's not even like a like this is
one of us has an itch to scratch.
That's literally you just saw the inside workings of a brainstorming session between myself and D-Bomb. Like, okay, yeah, we're doing it. Thanks again for all your hard work highlighting the hobby we all love. Oh no, thank you guys for thank you Sam for writing in. Last one, Imani writes in. Imagine, and this is the DC one. Imagine if I went back 5 years before the Man of Steel was kicking off the DCEU, after we all agreed to pretend Green Lantern did not count. It did though. It did. Let's don't let them off the hook. That did.
Yeah, everyone's like, Green Lantern, which I'll ignore. I'm like, why do we ignore it? No one ignores Thor 2.
Because you know what? Here's the thing. Green Lantern represented a pattern. Like, we didn't know it at the time, but it showed us a pattern. Anyway,
when someone shows you who they are, when tells you who they are, believe them.
Believe them, yes. So anyway, before Man of Steel was kicking off the DCEU, and I told you the best movie WB would put out in the theaters would be a Teen Titans Go film. How quickly would you have blocked me? I probably would have blocked you pretty fast. We finally got the Justice League on the big screen, and not only did it make less domestically than both Deadpool's and the both Guardian movies, but Brett Ratner's X3.
Okay, so I want to stop the email here. That's one of those things you don't believe till you look it up. Like, I got the emails and I'm looking that up.
Right.
Oh my God.
What did X3 make?
It doesn't matter. Like, I think I blacked out as soon as I saw the number.
Oh, hold on. I gotta see. I gotta know now.
It's real. Like,
I think
he's putting that in the email because I did not believe it.
It's got to be domestic. So domestic.
I think he said domestic in the email.
Okay, yeah, domestic is 234. What was Justice League?
Oh no, it did. Hold on.
I'm looking now. I can't believe this. Oh my God, 229. Oh
yeah, and that's like not even inflation. Like, that's just, you got fucking beat.
Right? I mean, wait. No. You got beat before you add the inflations in. Like,
I know.
What?
Like, that's not like we did the math and technically made more. No. It flat out made more fucking American green printed dollars.
Because I was really like you. I was like, oh, this is some bullshit. Like, I'm okay.
Like, no hyperbolic or how bad. Holy shit, he's right.
Right? I'm like, man, our listeners are some assholes, man. We gotta slow down with the DC hate. Now we're just throwing out random shit that doesn't make any sense. Oh shit, no, it's true. Fuck. Damn, that hurts. That hurts. This is where we are. This is where we are at, folks. This is where we are when folks are still trying to talk themselves into being excited for and hyped for Aquaman being. It's not terrible.
I plan on speaking about Aquaman later in this podcast.
Yeah, hold that thought.
I'm going to cede my time.
Wait until you reclaim it. I don't come here to gloat. I just want someone smarter than me to explain why they hate their characters. Why is DC afraid of putting Cyborg back in the Teen Titans where he belongs? I made peace with him being in Justice League, even though it's stupid, but goddamn the Doom Patrol. And Thomas Wayne as an asshole socialite in the Joker movie for some reason. Well, maybe not anymore, but again, we'll hold that thought. Give me a chance to trust you.
Can we just talk about this really quickly?
Yeah, let's talk about this.
I think we touched on it before. I just want to re-say it one more time. They don't trust the source material.
Yeah.
They regard comics as kiddie fare, as children's reading things. They don't treat it as art. That's from the WB side. From the DC side, they say what made the most money. And what makes the most money for them are their Elseworlds tales that are off takes of the established acknowledgement of the character. They don't say to themselves, wait, why is it selling more? It's selling more because it's different, not because people recognize and identify with. If without the juxtaposition, Red Sun is a shitty book. Age of Apocalypse is one of the best-selling comics of all time. You know why they've never tried to film it? They've never put it for a long run on an animated series. Do you know why? Because they know what they did. It was stunt casting. It was Death of Superman. You can't kill Superman every movie. Oh, wait, they keep fucking trying to because it made money once.
Yeah, it's a weird thing with and again, we'll know we'll talk about the Aquaman stuff later on. I'm at this point, to me, I'm looking forward to 2019. I think 2019 is when we see if DC film, because the problem with DC films is this, it's kind of what D-Pump said. It's like you have the WB side, which is, has no faith in the characters of DC at all. But then you have the DC side, and I don't think any of them were really film people. And I think they with the reshuffling they've done, they've now figured out that, okay, what works with the one thing that worked well at Marvel that I think they can bring for themselves is Kevin Feige he believes in the characters of Marvel, but he's also a film guy. And so they need to marry the two. And I think what's happening at with WB and DC is we have that we call it WB and DC. Like, we don't call it DC Films. Like, with Marvel, we're like, oh, it's Marvel Studios. Yeah, they're owned by Disney, but very rarely do we ever hear about anybody at Disney stepping down and stepping into the weeds of what they're doing. Like, when Marvel's screening Black Panther, we don't hear them, well, yeah, they screen it for Disney execs and No, we don't hear that. That's not where it comes from. Like, it feels like the structure that they have over there just wasn't conducive to making these films. You got to remember, Warner Brothers has been around a long time, and they have an idea of what it takes to make films and what's successful and what's not. That doesn't really. I think a lot of people need to go back and really look at. And maybe we need to do this. I know when I say we, myself and whoever's willing to come along with me on this ride, you need to go back and look at some of the older comic book films that came out. I'm talking about even before X-Men and Spider-Man. You need to go and watch some of those films and see just how silly and terrible they were. And that time was a time when it really was a death sentence. If you were in a comic book film, it was because the rest of your career was on the downtake. You literally had nothing else going for you.
I've always said the biggest difference as far as the front end of the comic book movies now is Feige and Jeff Johns. Mm-hmm. Jeff Johns, they both around the same amount of time, actually, interestingly enough. They both were looking for internships in LA. Jeff Johns ended up working for Richard Donner, former director of Superman, and copied scripts as a production assistant for Donner, who he considers a mentor. It's important to note that Richard Donner is a director. That someone was a vision of a story and executes that vision. Kevin Feige, his first early work is assistant to executive producer Lauren Schuler Donner, wife of Richard Donner. He learned how to produce.
Big difference.
I think that, honestly, if you want to go to the biggest, longest, fucking craziest sliding door moment for these two companies, that's it.
Yeah.
If Kevin Feige works for Richard Donner, I don't know if we have an MCU. If Jeff Johns works for Lauren Donner, maybe we're talking about the successful run culminating with the upcoming, with the just past Apocalypse Now Justice League, where Darkseid finally comes to Earth.
Yeah. And another thing, too, is Jeff Johns is just, he's overworked.
He's so overworked.
I mean, like, how far behind is Doomsday Clock right now?
Well, now we've gone to bi-monthly when it wasn't supposed to be bi-monthly. And I don't think they're behind now because of the new schedule. But I'd have to look. I dropped it. I'm waiting for the collection.
Yeah. I have it. I'm still getting Doomsday Clock, but yeah, it's like on 6 right. No, it's on like 8. There's still 4 more. It's got to be like, I know they're not behind schedule, but like, what the fuck?
Right.
It was just it's too much. So,
or maybe just solicit it as bi-monthly initially. It just looks sloppier when you say, "Oh, it's going to be a month," and then 3 issues in, we can't fade that every other month. Like what?
And then isn't he doing a Shazam thing now? He's got
Shazam series, got the Stargirl television show on DC streaming. He's doing a lot, and everyone's like, "Oh, whatever they do with Stargirl, because he's involved, I will be the first person to tell you, don't you dare argue with a casting choice, with a decision." Stargirl was created in the memory of his little sister, who died in one of the TWA flights in the 90s.
Oh, wow.
So if he's got his hands on it, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to let Jeff Johns tell his fucking story. Well, it may not be good, but it's his character to tribute to his sister.
But so, and then going on top of what we were talking about with the producer thing, you add in just everything else he's got going on. Like, Kevin Feige does one thing: be president of Marvel Studios and produces those Marvel Studios films. So I think that's a huge thing with DC has there, and going back to the cyborg thing, I don't know what they're doing. And here's the thing, I don't know. I don't think they know what they're doing.
I know what they're doing.
What?
New 52 came around, and they needed to redo the Justice League. And they said John Johns wasn't black enough, which John Johns is plenty black. And so they said, we don't want to offend anyone by race bending any of our characters. Like, I don't know, maybe just doing John fucking Stewart. So
they need a black character in the Justice League.
They needed a black character in the Justice League. And I'm not putting it on the DCEU yet because it happened first in New 52.
Right.
They made a decision they wanted their GL to be Hal, which is fine. They wanted the rest of the characters to be, who they were, but they weren't going to use John Johns, and they needed a minority. That's that's as far as they thought it through. Because in the first 6 months of New 52, there were flashback stories of people showing memories of Cyborg with the Teen Titans.
Right.
So the furthest they thought it through was, we need a blackface. And the fact that people wanted to cry Marvel for such shenanigans, and no one's fucking mentioned this, has driven me mad since New 52 started.
Yeah. And now, again, instead of putting him in the Titan show, they're putting him in Doom. We don't know what and I'm not mad at. I'm not mad at it either. I just feel we don't know what they're doing. They announced that they announced way before they were doing a cyborg movie. They don't know what they're doing with that. Ray Fisher has no idea what his next thing is.
So it's wild because, like, on its face, Cyborg kind of fits with the Doom Patrol because it's like it's Doom Patrol's the X-Men, and it's kind of like these freaks are outcasts and they're the X-Men. They're bosses in a wheelchair. They're the fucking X-Men. But they already have Robot Man on the team. Are they not doing Robot Man on the Doom Patrol? Like, this is the first time I've really thought about that.
Maybe they're
because
not.
I get kind of the body horror aspect of doing Cyborg. I kind of get that.
Yeah.
But if Cliff's on the team too, a lot of questions because that's the same character class.
I don't know. I don't. You know what? I didn't see. I know Kevin Smith. I think he was doing today. Was doing a whole look at the DC Universe stuff. I didn't look at it. I don't know what he announced and what they showed. So I don't know.
I haven't seen it either.
I'm just kind of. I'm all like I'm getting DC Universe for the comics.
Are you really getting it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the close.
Let me know.
I'm gonna try it out for the first couple months, for the comics alone, and if it's good enough for that, then I'll keep it. Because
if you keep it when Young Justice drops, you just slide me that login.
Yeah. No. I mean, come on, dude. I mean, we know how we do. Yeah, that's fine. We. This is research for the team. It'll be a team login. We got it. We'll work it out. We'll figure something out. But no, I'm getting DC Universe because I mean, what was the price point for it? Do you remember?
I literally, once it said selected comics, I said "fuck you very much" and stopped paying attention.
Well, again, to me, I'm trying to figure out what selected comics means. Like, is it?
That's the thing I'm most curious about. Like, this month is all about Teen Titans. I'm like, so if I want to go look up fucking, I don't know, Detective Comics, I can't do that shit. No, thank you.
Yeah, it's $7.99 a month. So I'm like, I can try it out for a couple months and see what they're doing. But to me, I'm really there for the comics to see what they're putting on there, and if it's worth it. If it's, and again, I'm not looking for it when it first starts to be comparable to Marvel Limited, because you got to remember. Here's the thing.
Time out. Why the fuck not?
Well,
no, and I ask you that because we give these motherfuckers a lot of passes. We've had Marvel Limited for 3 fucking years now. Like, this is ridiculous. They digitized their entire library 2 years ago. That's why we got Convergence. Why are we giving them so much fucking rope? I get it. You want to be fair, quote unquote. I'm past fair. I've been fair.
Valid. So let me walk that back as far as what I mean by this is when Marvel Limited launched. And almost with any of these apps launch, the app is really buggy usually.
Oh, so functionality wise, yeah.
And that's what I mean by that. Like, I'm okay if they're limiting their exposure to how many books they put out there because they're trying to see make sure the app is right. And if that's the reason why, because Marvel Limited when it launched, it had it had some bugs and it wasn't that great of an app to begin with.
Interface.
Interface and things like that. Yeah, that's what I mean by that. But if I get on there, it's like what you're saying. It's like, well, this month is Teen Titans month, and that's the only books you can get. And I'm gonna be like, oh, go fuck yourself. So no, I'm not. That to me is not worth the $7.99 a month. I'm sorry, guys. No. Anyway, going back here. But I think D Palma said who said it on Twitter. We might really be in a new golden age of comics, and my wallet does not appreciate it. We got 12 angry men, Bruce exploring his psychosis, Venom redefining what a symbiote and trying it tying into a larger universe, Scott Snyder on freaking Justice League, Jason Aaron continuing to be a crazy person, yes. Hickman story threads coming back, and Coach being scarily good on Cap, very, very scary on Cap.
No, I almost threw my fucking phone when I read that. I was like, you zero lies detected, because you and I were very, and I think kind of to the point where we caught some flack over it, critical of the early Coates Panther stuff. Mm-hmm. And this is the beauty of watching someone grow in an art form, because he's got it. He's figured it out. He's cracked that fucking code. Are you reading the new Panther stuff?
I haven't gotten to the Panther stuff yet. Is it just oh goodness.
He's found that special place, that Claremontish place where things are just kind of happening and you don't really know what's going on, but you intimately trust them. You're there.
You're in the zone. He's in the zone.
I'm there. I'm like, what? The point where my feet go up, I said, just tell me a fucking story.
Awesome.
Tell me a story.
And that's just the big two. And somebody finally broke me down and made me start reading the Power Ranger book this week. And goddamn it, I was not expecting that.
You're welcome.
Listen. Again, I hate to harp on DC. People wonder why I harp on DC. This is why. There are, for every bad thing we say about the DC movies, there are some great DC comics right now. There are great stories being told. There are great issues you can read. Like, it is just, there's stuff out there. There's plenty of shit out there to read from DC. So it just really, really makes me angry when I see these movies and they just fall so short, and the characters are almost unrecognizable. Like, there's so much good shit out there to pull from and to read, whether it's old or new stuff. Like, it's all there and just great. And you're right. This is the golden age of comics. Like, we'll revisit this when we talk about our topic for the day. But yeah, like, people who sit there saying, "Oh, comic books are dead," and stuff like that, they're clearly not reading. Clearly not reading. There's almost too much good shit out there right now. And I have to give you guys a shout out for the creator Spotlight Character Corners. There's no way you can read it or can read that run and not immediately call your boy and just yell nigga. And frankly, it's a testament to your professionalism that those episodes were short as they were. Just take my money and good luck at Dragon Con. Yeah, I'm actually surprised that our the Avengers Hickman run thing only lasted at 2 hours and like 10 minutes.
You guys are so lucky we've already talked about Secret War, because otherwise I would have been here for another hour, because he made Johnny the Sun and he made Ben the Wall around Doomstot, and I didn't even go into that shit. Like, there's so much happens.
Yeah,
that I couldn't touch on, and I'm a little not annoyed because it was a 2.5 hour fight.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff there. Go to our archive. I think it might be in the premium wall on the comic book club.
Oh, for Secret Wars? Oh, yeah.
It's worth it. Go pay for that right now and listen to our Secret Wars, because we talked about it as it ended, and it's one of the best conversations we've had on this network.
Oh, yeah. It was great. It's great. So, all right. So let's get into the topic of the day. Like I said, it kind of ties into this, talking about the golden age of comic books. It looks like comic creators are finally standing up and raising their voices against ComicsGate. After a year, comic pros expressed solidarity against ComicsGate. And we've seen this week, we saw there was Tom Taylor, Benjamin Percy, Jeff Lemire, all these creators. And I think that what really You said what now?
Bill Sinkwitz. And are you going to talk about what the tipping point was?
Well, go ahead. You submitted. I'll let you go ahead and.
So, and I want to get in front of this, because I know some people were saying, "Why are they coming out now?" I honestly believe that the comic creators were aware of this, and that they, as almost like a community, decided not to engage because it didn't give them credence. Like, you watch Gail Simone be like, "Oh, we don't talk to those people."
No, well, no. If you follow any of these creators, a lot of the creators that spoke up, they did. In some cases, they were actually asked. So, just to give the background for some people who don't know, ComicsGate is led by a bunch of Richard Myers and Ethan Van Shriver and a bunch of these other, basically.
I'm so glad his name is tied to this forever.
Racist, bigoted, sexist pieces of shit. We've talked about Richard Meyer before with diversity in comics. And they launched this whole thing, ComicsGate, where they were like, move the needle and we're trying to get comics back away from the SJWs and blah, 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 blah. They basically have been harassing women, transgender creators, creators of color. They have been focusing on them. They hate basically any book or anybody that supports them and what they consider SJW, which is weird, which, again, saying that they want to kick politics out of comics and blah, 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 right? This has been going on for a couple years now. Some of the creators they've harassed, I've seen them. They basically have said they've asked others to not. And it's been a back and forth. Some people have asked for others to speak up. Others have said that they don't want to address it because, like Deepam was saying, it's what these people feed on, and it is.
Right.
But it's gotten to the point where it need to be addressed.
So what happened was Darwin Cook, the late artist on New Frontier and many other books from DC Universe, many other books, period. He was kind of conscripted by these ComicsGate assholes into being part of their cause, and then they rolled in his wife, Marsha Cook. And I think this is where you saw kind of the galvanization of the comics community, because say what you will about how to handle it before, they were right about trying to let the air out of the room by not talking about it at all or by having people engage with them. It galvanized them because, for all intents and purposes, Marsha Cook's a civilian. Like when Tom King talks about having bodyguards at San Diego, it wasn't like I'm scared. It was more like I'm pissed this has come to this.
Mm-hmm.
Once they cross the line, like I'll say this right now, the creators who decided to fight back, or even the creators who decided to say be quiet, people were questioning their decision before now. I won't, because they were the ones taking the abuse.
Absolutely.
However they decide to handle it is their own choice. But I commend the community for coming together and saying, look, Marsha, like our families are all fucking limits.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Lemire tweeted on August 22nd, ComicsGate is based on fear, intolerance, bigotry, and anger. The comics creators emerging today are too talented, too smart, and too loud to be beaten by these weak people. It's time we all started standing up for one another. He continued on a blog post on his personal blog. This guy's got eyes. If you don't know who Jeff Lemire is, just take 5 seconds to Google it, please. I hope more creators who, like me, have had the privilege to create comics free of this sort of abuse and scrutiny because we're white and because we're men would have joined me in denouncing ComicsGate. I know many of you feel the way I do. I noticed that many popular and significant creators like my tweet. And that's great, but it's not enough. But if we can't use our voices to stand up for the next generation of comic creators, editors, and the next wave of voices that will keep our medium alive and vital, then what's the point in having them at all? The time is now to stand up for our female comic book creators. The time is now to stand up for transsexual comic book creators. The time is now to stand up for creators of color and all sexual orientations, races, and religions. If we don't do that, we don't deserve to be making comics ourselves. And if this is the tipping point for the industry to take this shit seriously, bravo. Well, because Jeff Lemire said that shit.
Well, and what this is how you be an ally. Mm-hmm. People always say, "Oh, I just try to be an ally." No, this is how you do. When you actually put your name to something and you stand up for those, knowing that here's the thing. This is a straight white male who could have just said nothing and continued on. But he didn't have to say a word. He could have not said a word. But instead, he stood up for his fellow writers, his fellow artists, the fellow creators, and basically stood in front and bit a shield, and said, "If you're going to come at them, you're coming at me too. We all stand against this." And there was a lot of I know several. Tom Taylor did this. And I know several others. Basically, they kept writing this. I believe comics are for everyone. There's no excuse for harassment. There's no place for homophobia, transphobia, racism, or misogyny in comic criticism. And a lot of people wrote that on their page. And this was, again, this is an important stand because when you have marginalized communities in these and right now, let's be honest, comics is still a in the when you're in like the big two or three, still a white male dominated industry. So to have these men stand up and say this, knowing that they could avoid it and not say anything, and make that environment and try to change the industry, to make sure that it's welcoming and tell these assholes they're not wanted. Because here's the thing: silence for a lot of these assholes is what they want. And this is a huge thing, and I think this is good ever since Richard Myers did that. They did that interview with him, and he got clowned on that show. I think all this stuff has helped kind of expose him. Huh? Yes. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And then Ethan Van Shriver's name being attached to this and being called out. Because he tried to walk it back, and some people were, and then we're like, no. This is what you made your bed in. You've done this, and no. And I hope he's blackballed from this stuff too. The next step for me now is for now the senior editors and the leader of some of these from DC Comics and Marvel Comics and stuff like that to also come out and do the same thing. Now maybe they won't, but that'll be the next big thing, because this has become a serious issue. And by having the writers and creators, and these are some big fucking names. These are some of the up and coming names that you see. I mean, Benjamin Percy was one of them. I love the book that the Green Arrow book he wrote. Like, these are people that have come out and spoken up and said things and stood in front of it. And I'm like, thank you.
These are also people who've given these people what they think they want. Jeff Lemire writes Old Man Logan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these aren't quiet voices. These are big, important voices in this. And the fact that, particularly at Marvel, you watch the big, important voices in this opposition, who they're in opposition to, get elevated. I'm proud to be a comics fan.
Yeah, no. And I'm glad you think. I'm glad. What I'm glad about is I'm glad this is being written about now and talked about, and it's not. I feel like people have learned from the Gamergate thing. Cause for a longest time, I was feeling like they weren't learning from the Gamergate thing. It was floating on the radar. But now seeing people write about it, it's been written about in major publications. They are not giving it the air that Gamergate did. Gamergate was given some oxygen and some, well, maybe it is about ethics in gaming journalism, when it never was. These people and everybody that's been talking about it and writing about it and exposing it on any major platform have basically said, no, these are people who are against diversity. And even this article, I think you put this one in there from Inverse. It's like, as comic book movies rake in big bucks at the box office, popular culture has never been more ready for diverse stories and characters from the uniquely American medium. However, the relatively low sales of monthly comics is incongruous to the sky-high sales of movie tickets, indicating a readership in stasis, though monthly sales do not count for other sales like digital and trade paperback releases. See, even the way they're writing about this kind of takes some of the air out of the argument that the ComicGate people go. It was like, oh, no, it's about low readership. ComicGate often blames low readership on forced diversity and further pushed back against such big difference from the big two. Pretty much everyone else agrees the industry is just different than it was in 1993 when Jim Lee's X-Men sold millions of copies, a level of success never repeated in the industry. See, this is different from the way Gamergate was written about, where they take the argument that Gamergate is making and then immediately refute it and show that it's just false. This is how you handle this. Like you said, I'm proud to be a comic reader. I'm glad that this is finally being handled this way, and they're not letting this shit slide. I'm glad. Very, very glad. Like, this was a good thing, because I've been haven't been on Twitter as much, but I started seeing some of the comic writers I was following. Thank God I follow the right ones. And I was seeing a lot of this come. I was like, weird. This came out of nowhere. This is weird. And seeing that this is the stand they're taking, great. Feels good. All right. So that's. You got anything else you want to say on that one?
No, nailed it.
All right, cool. All right, let's get into some of these quick hits here. I say quick hits with things. Sony's Marvel Cinematic Universe has an official name. Sony is making plans for approximately 900 Marvel character properties it owns.
Whatever, nigga. Like that, and keep telling the other shit.
In a recent article about the subject, it was revealed that Sony actually has a name for its Marvel franchise. The SUMC, Sony's Universal of Marvel Characters. Sony's Universe of Marvel Characters. Like, bro, you just rearranged the letters for MCU.
I don't talk about it.
Maybe they won't notice that we put Sony in front of it. The franchise name was revealed in a piece by Variety, which is what the Sony has planned for its Spider-Man universe after the upcoming release of Venom in the fall. In that feature, we got a following side note about how Sony views this particular franchise. This particular franchise. We're focused on being faithful to the comics. How?
They didn't say anything, man.
Oh my god. Sony's universe of Marvel characters? Okay, Sony. Okay. All right. Another news. So I put this article in there, and this is the quickest turnaround because it came out today that it's not happening. Joker movie, Alec Baldwin to play Bruce Wayne's father. Robert De Niro, Zazie Beetz, and Mark Maron are already on the call sheet. Alec Baldwin is joining Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, Warner Brothers standalone movie centered on the DC clown prince of crime. The problem is that's not happening now either, because Alec Baldwin basically came on the Twitter and said that he's not doing that. He doesn't want to be typecast or something like that. So,
let me say this. A Joker origin movie is the single worst idea I've ever heard. The point of the Joker is it doesn't matter where he came from. He's an agent of chaos. Attempting to tie Thomas Wayne in there is the second dumbest, thing I've ever heard. He's doing it in the first place. Creating an atmosphere where that could occur is the dumbest.
Well, and not just he was going to be in there, but he was going to be the cheesy Taz businessman sought after Donald Trump. Like, what? Why would? What are we doing?
You can do that. The thing is, you can do that. I'm actually okay. I don't have. You can. I think. I also recently replayed the Telltale Batman. So
okay, yeah, okay.
So I think there's a way to do that and make it interesting and make it resonate with Batman. But you know who it wouldn't matter to? The fucking Joker. And the other problem I've had as I've been thinking about this is there's only 2 Joker movies to really do. You can either do one super cartoony, like you said, the clown prince of crime. He also calls himself the jester of genocide. Like, you got to understand the Joker's not a cuddly character. It's hard to do this without it being a hard R, like almost horror movie. And Joaquin Phoenix says he doesn't care about audience expectations. Good thing, buddy, because they're going to expect a lot. I'm telling you right now, you will not meet them.
You're following. Okay, you got Jack Nicholson and you have Heath Ledger. All right, and we see what happened with fucking what's his name? Old boy, Jared Leto.
Exactly. What's his name?
Like, right. Like, guys, like you're saying you don't like.
Maybe don't do the Joker.
I think. I think people underestimate. I think people underestimate.
This role is ascribed. I know it is not what killed him, but it's ascribed to killing Heath Ledger.
Right. I think people underestimate the DC characters and how much they mean to people. Like this is like, and I'm gonna be fair here. This is not the Avengers. You mess with a fucking Avengers character, even today, I think people are gonna be like, shrug it off. Even today, kind of. You know?
I don't know. I think that today, I think if they fucked up a Captain America movie, there'd be fucking. There'd be a lot of
I mean, let's say some of the new ones. Like you bring in a new character, one of them that we haven't seen on screen yet, and you fuck it up. People are gonna be like, or whatever, and overlook it, right? You can't fuck up anybody from DC. None of these, at least not the icons. Like I think
we can't. We started with Marvel's bench. That's the thing.
Right.
We started with DC starters, and they fucked up the starters.
And like that's why I think, honestly, I think one of the biggest thing going for Shazam right now is nobody gives a fuck about Shazam.
I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, well, that too, but I think there's no expectations, there's no pressure, and I do think that not having that pressure on you, and to me, I think it's silly to sit there and go, I don't care about the expectations for you're doing the fucking Joker. Yes, don't say that. That's not giving me
not the Joker, the Joker origin story.
There's that we've never done. Well, I guess technically you did do it in the first Batman, 89 Batman.
Batman shot people in that movie. Fuck that movie. For who? For what? Who thinks this is a good idea?
Speaking of good ideas, so this is what Kevin Smith announced tonight. DC Universe will launch on Batman Day, September 15th.
Nice.
Yeah. So and you said what now?
It's nice to have a date.
Yeah. Titans, Young Justice, Outsiders, and Harley Quinn will be on there. But they're also saying Doom Patrol and Swamp Thing. But I don't have those been shown?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you say Young Justice at launch?
Yeah, it should be.
Wait a goddamn second.
I'm assuming so.
You've seen one trailer. I mean, I hope so. When's it?
No. I'm sorry. So Titans is coming. No, it might not be because Titans is coming on the 12th of October. So yeah, maybe Young Justice will be a little bit later. I'm reading this. I'm like, that didn't make sense because there's no waste. Doom Patrol and Swamp Thing are ready yet.
Oh motherfucker! They put Babs in the chair.
For what?
Season 3 of Justice.
Oh.
It's fine. It's good. I just didn't.
I don't see the thing about it. I still don't see anything about their comics. That's what I'm interested in right now.
Selling and that's why it's not for you and me. I'm telling you, man. This is for the casuals.
Oh God.
Well, something's got to get there because if Titans doesn't drop to the 15th, so October 12th, where are they going to ride for that first month? I guess just like because they'll have all the Warner Brothers movies, they'll have all the movies, animated and live action. They'll have all the Justice League, they'll have all of Batman.
I want to know more.
It becomes a bit more robust.
I want to know more about what, because it's like read from a curated list of modern and classic comics.
Curated.
Right? What does that mean? What is that?
Comic of the Month Club. The Comic of the Month Club, bro. Comic Box.
See, now I'm torn about whether I should drop the here's the thing. I can drop the $7.99. They got to be a free trial.
If you pre-order right now, it's $5 a month.
Oh, maybe I'll do that. There's got to be a free trial though, right?
There, not that I can see. Fuck. But DC limited access, $5 a month if you pre-order right now, which I still won't be doing.
Oh, maybe I'll do that then. Maybe I'll pre-order it and get $5 and try it for a month and see what happens. What's the worst that can happen, right? I lose $5.
Or they could movie pass you and re-enroll you.
Oh God, don't give me ideas. Anyway,
this is the biggest Special Fans Con ever.
Well, actually, no. The biggest con is our next story. X-Men: Dark Phoenix reshoots expected to span 3 months.
I have nothing to say. I've said everything I can about this shitty movie that's never been.
So then citing
I guess they have to drop it, don't they? If they're going to basically reshoot the movie, which spoilers, guys, shooting movies about a 3 to 4 month endeavor of principal photography. If they're doing 3 months of reshoots, one, someone's schedule's got to be fucked up, or two, like maybe it's reshoots over the course of 3 months because they can't get people on set together.
I think that's what it's supposed to be. Like,
okay,
I think because
fucking camp,
right? Because some a Collider story is saying that the additional photography is only scheduled to last 2.5 weeks. But I'm thinking the 3 months is because and the same thing that happened with Justice League, right? At least, and again, giving some credit to Fox here. Fox was at least smart and realized they needed to delay their movie, unlike WB that decided they were just going to try to do it in one take and get it all together. when you do,
they weren't that smart because they delayed it twice.
Right. They should just cancel. But like the problem with reshoots is like, once if they go beyond what you've already had scheduled, those actors have moved on to other projects, or they're off on doing something else, and so I can see how this could end up taking 3 months when you have people doing other like. I remember that was one of the problems they were having was I think Michael Fassbender and Jennifer Lawrence were off. We had other projects they were working on, so they didn't have the reshoots they were going to do were going to take too long, so they had to move the date. Also,
and I want to mention this right now because you just talked about something that's not on our list for the night, and I want to talk about it. The Black Adam producer said that the script is underway and that they will confirm they're going to be shooting some time. That wasn't for me. That wasn't for you. That wasn't for the Legion asterisks of Black Adam fans clamoring for this movie. That was for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. This man's always on set. I guarantee he is not pleased at being the follow-up behind the movie that may or may not be part of a larger universe. He's trying to build a franchise here that he can call home. He already stole Fast and the Furious, which will never not be funny to me. But now he wanted to be a superhero. He's got kids. How many's like, if you're not familiar with the interview with Chris Hemsworth, how much he said, it's just cool, I get to be a superhero and my kids get to see me as such. These guys who are dads like doing this shit because they look like superheroes to their kids. And you're taking that away from The Rock. Like, keep fucking with The Rock, he'll show up in a Marvel movie. Keep fucking with The Rock, he'll be Ben fucking Grimm. Keep fucking with The Rock.
Like, I keep forgetting that they did cast him in like years ago.
No, nigga, he's the only person they cast. He's been on the string for them for like 11 years now. And people are like, "Oh, you're exaggerating." Google it. I'm not exaggerating.
No, it's been a long time. It shocks me every time
how long it's been.
I don't understand. Well, it's so weird because Kirstie Clemens was like, "Yeah, she's apparently still in the Flash movie." And it's saying that it's not going to shoot until 2019. Like, there's just DC just really bad. They need to get a PR person to release.
They need to be single for a while and not make any fucking movies. They need to take a 5-year fucking break, build a plan, and then start making movies.
It's just so much information that nobody knows anything about. It's just like, what are you guys doing? What happened in
1996?
What?
In 1996, the NWO came in WCW. Hulk Hogan became the bad guy. And it was assumed that when he joined the company, he and Macho Man would be the top guys in the company. Sting was already the top guy in that company. And he took it as amicably as he could. What they did with Sting is they didn't let him wrestle for 12 fucking months. He was the most popular wrestler on the planet. He never stepped foot in the ring. Because absence makes the heart grow fonder. DC, walk the fuck away. You're not breaking any major contracts because they're not with production companies because you're owned by Warner fucking Brothers. Walk away, pay out these buy out all the contracts, and don't make anything for 5 years. And then at the Super Bowl in 2023, just a single black placard. Maybe the music starts to play, and then the Superman logo fades in, and it says this winter, and that's it. Make them excited again. Well, you can't make me excited for a DC movie today. You can't do it.
Well, to be fair, that's what they did with Batman. After that Batman and Robin film, they just disappeared.
Oh, I'm not making up shit. I'm telling them shit I know it works because they did
it. You already did it. You did it with Batman when Christopher Nolan came back with Batman Begins to the point that nobody knew what the fuck it was and was like, oh, another Batman film? I don't know. The people leaving going, wait, you know what? That was actually kind of good.
And the thing is, it wasn't even good. It was just different. And it was earnest. And it was fine. I look back and watched it. It's not great. It's fine.
I mean, compared to what we got now, it's great.
What we want to do. Like, compared to what Schumacher did, yes, it's a fucking Oscar. It's Citizen fucking Kane.
compared to what fucking Zack Snyder did. I mean.
But if Justice League is your Batman and Robin moment, own that fucking moment. You made less money the next 3. You made less money the next 3. It's the fucking Justice League. man.
That might be the title of the episode. Less money than the next three.
Like that. Y'all can't email us stuff like that. That is in my head. It's been in my head since I got these emails. You sent those emails to me this morning.
Yeah.
I looked at them around lunchtime, and I have not lost that factoid from my head since.
It's depressing.
I can't shake it.
It's fucking depressing.
It's super depressing.
It's fucking depressing. Depressing as shit. I'm not even gonna do the Spawn thing. I'm not even gonna do this.
Thank you. I was like, we need to talk about some other stuff.
Yeah,
I don't have to talk about that.
I don't care. I didn't want to bring this one thing up. I know people were, there was an article. It was, to me, a non-story. The Guardians of the Galaxy production got delayed, and I'm like, yeah, because there's no director.
I'm not talking about this.
Like, I mean, guys, like, it's not a. Like, people were talking on both sides. Like, oh, nothing. It's a non-story. When they get a director, production will start. It's fine. It's a machine. That's how it works. Like, no. Next. What else was I gonna say? I think that was it. We had. Was there any other topics you can think of that? Oh, wait, there was Aquaman. So, the Aquaman early test screeners came in. Here's the thing, guys. Why does anybody believe any of this shit?
No. You should believe every word of it. You know why? Because test screeners are not Joe off the fucking street. They bring in fans. They bring in fucking press who are releasing their early thoughts. If you can't get a test screening to lie for you and just give you one or two pull quotes of how great your movie is, you're in some fucking trouble.
But I mean, they weren't. They weren't like, I don't know. Like, to me, they weren't.
Oh, are you doing this too? Great.
No,
awesome.
No. Hold on. They weren't bad, but these are, to me. Let me put it this way: they were the same kind of things that people said about BVS and Suicide Squad. Like,
they were nicer about BVS and Suicide Squad.
Were they? Oh, maybe I just tuned it out. Maybe that's my problem. I don't believe these.
That's a fine stance to take. But if we're going to say that we're going to use them as some sort of barometer, because let's just face it, WB is probably going to the same test screening group. They don't pull their own groups. They use a company. They're probably using the same company. And the fact that they gave higher marks to BVS and Suicide Squad than what Aquaman's getting, okay.
I just, to me, it's such a worthless. It was just such a worthless, because they've never been accurate.
That's fair.
They've just never been accurate to me. So when they, like, I was seeing, and you're right. Like, some of the things that I was seeing one of them. It said something about how it's up there with like the early MCU films, and if you like those, and you like,
which is not true.
Well, one, let's say it is. All right, let's say it is. That's not a good thing. Early MCU films were 10 years ago.
Okay, so
I would expect them.
Remember reactions when Iron Man dropped. It wasn't lukewarm. You could drop Iron Man today. That shit's fire.
Well, none of the ones outside of maybe Incredible Hulk got bad test screeners or bad reviews or buzz coming out of them. Like, none of them did. So I'm just like, I don't know what you're comparing about. And then on top of that, I don't like the other thing too. Going to your idea of what them going to the same company. It also could be that some of these people really are like people that actually like the BVS Ultimate Edition, and somehow the movie is good, but has more of a, I don't know what you mean by MCU flair, and somehow they don't like that. Like, it's just I just cannot trust these early types of, because here's the thing, the movie's not even close to being done. These are not the kind of screeners that I go to.
Close to being done?
No. These are not the screeners that I go to. Like, the movie that they see, it's not gonna be the movie I see when the movie comes out. What, November? It's not gonna be the movie I see in late October, 14th. Early. You said what now?
December 14th.
Oh, December. So that's not gonna be the movie I see in the November, beginning of December. Like, it's just not. It just won't be. Like, they're still working on. This is what all the films do. They're still working on the effects. Guardians of the Galaxy was working on the effects up to a month before.
When Wolverine Origins, that screener leaked.
That was probably like a screener that I would go to though. Which is
I'm
still
not talking about the one that had like unfinished effects.
Oh, yeah, it's probably that. That's probably what they're watching.
Right.
They're probably and I'm like, another reason why I cannot trust these kinds of early fan reactions. Like the other thing too is these people are being brought in to see a movie that's not finished. They're being treated a little bit special. You're basically, and when you're asked these things, and this is why. So when I go to a screener, there usually are people out there from the PR team asking us what we thought of the movie. I usually don't give a whole lot. I don't stand like some critics stand there and actually give their thoughts. I don't tend to do that. I tend to go there, give a couple, like one or two sentences. Oh, it was good. It was okay. And I keep on moving. The reason why I don't do that is it is almost impossible when you sat in the theater and depending on what you have that do, because again, this is not like we're going on a Saturday where you've had a good night's rest. It's usually I went to work for 8 hours. I then sat in traffic for up to 2 hours to get to the theater. I then watch a 2-hour movie. When you sit there and ask me what you thought of it, I have a lot of process. I have to process, okay, did I like the movie? Did I not like the movie? How much of my opinion is based off of the fact that I'm actually had a shitty day today, and so I'm in a shitty mood? Like, there is no good way of getting a reaction from that. So when these people are sitting there and giving their thoughts right after they leave a theater, you cannot trust that, whether it's good or bad, because most of these people haven't had a chance to actually think about what they just saw. So I just do not find those kinds of reactions to anything very good, because most times unless a movie is super, 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 super bad, almost all of them are either good to just overwhelmingly positive. Like I've seen these kind of things from movies that are just terribly shitty. Like I expect Venom not to be a good movie, but I do expect when you're going to get some people coming out saying, no, Venom is great, it's awesome, it's wonderful, and you're going to be like, then you're going to go see the movie and go, what the fuck did I just watch? And so this is why I tell people, it's like, for these kind of things, don't trust them. You know, you want to have a person that has some time to think about what they just watch before they really, really give their thoughts, because it's almost impossible, especially for a 2-hour movie. There's a lot to process there. You know, I'll never forget that. That's one of my biggest problem with BVS is like I had the embargo for that was up that night, and it's like we had to do a review, and it's like I'm still trying to process what the fuck I just watched. And so I've really, really just like, again, when it comes to this, I don't know. I still don't know. I've already said, like, I don't think there's a lot that they could have done for Aquaman story-wise because of, and that's not an indictment on James Wan. That's just the WB process that they went into making Aquaman happened before the mess that was Justice League.
Right.
And I do not believe WB has it in themselves to course correct and do what they need to do. Do I think it's going to be a disaster like Justice League is going to be? No. And to me, if it's just good enough, let's say it gets a 60% or 70% on Rotten Tomatoes, that's a win to me. I think that's good.
Sick of lowering the bar for them.
I don't think that's a lower bar though. I don't think that's a lower bar. And the reason why I said it is because this is just me saying that Justice League was bad, you know. And so if you get if you come back with and you've course corrected enough with Aquaman that you can do a 60 or 7%, that's a positive move in the right direction. You know, and I feel way more confident about going into the movies in 2019, Shazam and Wonder Woman 1984. I'm gonna pretend like the Joker movie doesn't exist. So when I talk about the WB's DC films going into 2019, I'm not talking about Joker. I'm not addressing that film. So that's not part of my thing. But yeah, I mean, like I said this with the trailer. Like, trailer looked good, did what it needed to do. I do think we've talked about this before. I'm interested to see what if Jason Momoa can finally carry a film. I've
Spoilers, he cannot.
I've I've put my faith in him before, only to be disappointed. I saw that Conan film.
Ooh, that did come out, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Ooh, I might find that this weekend.
Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself.
No, why not? I need to laugh.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm retired after Dragon Con.
Don't do that. Don't do that. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But like I said, I don't put a lot of stock into those kinds of screeners, especially this early. It means nothing to me.
That's fair. I'm going to go ahead and continue to party because the odds of me being wrong are very low.
No, they are very, very low. I will not argue with you on that. All right, pull this time. What are you reading from DC?
I'm not even going to give you what I'm reading right now. I'm just going to sing the praises of a couple books. Is that okay?
Go right ahead.
DC. This Tom King Batman run. You motherfuckers. Are you caught up?
I got to read the last issue.
Okay. It's amazing. I know I talked earlier about what they're planning on doing with the Sanctuary miniseries that's coming up. It's kind of it's supposed to be a study on where the heroes go when they're broken. It's kind of a place they can go to mentally recuperate and deal with their issues. And I think the androids that work there are working with Wonder Woman's empathy, and it's a really kind of nice thing. And what they've done is they've shown you why Bruce would build something like that in his book, and why the big three would have built this because they know heroes need help. The epilogue of Flash, where we saw Wally on his way there.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, that makes okay.
The Red Hood and the Outlaws Annual 2 dropped today. Spoilers: it's a reuniting with the original Red Hood and the Outlaws team. It's Roy Harper and Jason Todd. That book, Roy says, I slipped up the wagon. I need to go back. If you've been reading that book ever, you remember that Roy's sponsor is Phil Croc, which is always fun. And they talk through like an interface, and while Croc's in prison, he says, "Hey man, one day at a time." It's very kind of like you see Roy say, "I need to go. There's a place that we go, like people like us, to get right. Do you think you should come too?" And he invites Jason, and Jason's like, "I'm good, thanks." And at the end of the book, they part ways, and you're like, "Wait." And so I'm really excited for whatever they're building to a Sanctuary, but letting Tom King and Scott Snyder and those people kind of have the reins of the DCU. It's time for these young voices. It's time for them to get the shot. I'm blown away by the stuff that they're putting out there, like on a consistent basis. Like you mentioned, Lemire's. I've seen that Lemire. Forget the Green Arrow one that just ended.
Oh, Benjamin Percy. Yeah,
Benjamin Percy. Yeah, that's it. He's also writing Nightwing now, and they've got a really good stable of creators. Bendis, I've fallen behind on his action stuff, but Bendis is Bendis, and he's going to be given the rope to tell a long, good Superman story. So I'm not worried there. The Flash stuff's been amazing. They're clearly building to something universe shaking in 2019. That I'm excited for.
With the different the force barrier being broken. I caught up with that today. Yeah,
they're dealing with it in JLA as well, and there's all these like companion books, and there's for the first time in like a long time, I feel like there's a line wide plan, and it's exciting. It's invigorating. It's the continued marvelization of this universe, and I'm all for it. Marvel side, things I'm loving. All right, nigga. This Venom book has no right. No right being this good.
I've read Venom 5 today, and I went immediately. I didn't read it yet, but I immediately bought Web of Venom. I might have to actually get the hard copy of that because that cover
is so good.
That cover, that Venom Nom, yo, I was like,
somebody joke about it in the group today, and I was like, hold on. I'm wanting to hear make jokes about stupid comic books.
Like,
this story has no right being this good. I've never enjoyed a Venom comic book.
Like, there's a moment in
they tied it to a Thor issue from 2015.
Right. There's a moment in. So first of all, a little spoilers here. The end of in issue 4, he comes on Spider-Man, but it's Miles, right? And so they end with them in like that I guess the Grindel or something, and they're like that. Yeah, and and they're flying towards like they're flying off planet. So you're like, oh shit, what the fuck? They're like stuck in the belly. They're stuck in this beast, right? It's Miles and Eddie Brock's Venom. The opening of 5 is literally Miles, punching Eddie in the face, trying to wake him up, and you see they're falling down out of the sky. He's like, what the fuck happened? It's like, well, we were inside, and I figured that it would be pretty better to be outside. And so now we're kind of here, but we need to kind of like do something. And he's like, well, go ahead and make it like a web parachute. Isn't that what you can do that with your web? And Miles is like, no, I can't. Can't you like fly?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Right? It's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
That's advanced level Spider-Man thing. I'm strictly one.
Listen, dog. And then at the end when he leaves Miles, he's like, yo, keep your head down. And he was like, I should keep your head down. Hey, is that because he's coming back, or should I? Are you guys gonna handle? You know what? You guys go ahead and handle that. I'm gonna go ahead and just leave. I'm just like,
no. The issue before when they're swinging through the city, where are the Avengers fighting some Celestials? If you don't know, just say so.
Right.
No, but if you read Aaron's book there, that's very
Yo, I'm sorry. That shit was great. Yeah, so I have I haven't read it yet, but yeah, the story they're telling in Venom. And you know what? Donny Cates, he wrote the fucking Thanos book, so I'm like, oh fuck, he wrote the fuck out of Thanos, so I'm in.
Yo, Venom is not just cool. Venom's super cool, and they made him something bigger than a spider clone. Which is so nice. It's so nice to have and we've had these hints of mythos. And if you wanted the origin of the symbiotes, and you think read these first 5 issues because they changed all that shit.
You know nothing about
that shit was a lie they told themselves. Here's who they really are, and it's way more fucking interesting.
Oh, way more interesting. So yeah, that shit.
Also, Marvel 2-in-1 is the extended story, the Return of the FF story. That Fantastic Four 1 came out, and people were like, well, why isn't they back yet? I'm like, because what are you talking? What year do you think it is where all stories are told in one issue?
So first of all, 2 things about that. One, I love the one of the last pages in there where they literally drew something to make fun of the fact that people were going to say that. I bought issue number 1, and the Fantastic Four isn't even back yet. So I love the fact that they, that Slott and them made sure they put that shit in there. But 2, oh, come on. How it ends? How do you get upset?
Why would you be upset?
How do
what did you? I saw comic review sites saying not the number 1 we were expecting. I'm like, fuck and you. What did you expect? Them fighting the fucking Mole Man like Fantastic Four number 1 way back when? Things done changed. Ugh.
I'm sorry. That issue was great. And again, how it ends? Nigga, listen. I'm sorry. I'm subscribed. I'm in.
100% in. Extermination's happening over in the X books. It's been really interesting. For people who said, Ben just brought back the original 5 and did nothing with them, that means you didn't read the stories. And it seems like that story's coming to a close here.
I need to catch up.
It's very much mining Marvel history, X-Men history. The tenet behind it from the writer said, all your back issues matter. And it's time travel. And have you read 1?
No, I need to catch up on the X books and then read Extermination. Maybe I'll do that this weekend too. So I need to catch up.
X-Men Blue's been really good. I'm not just saying that because they brought back Havoc. And I want to go outside the big 2 for a second because Unicron marches on. That story's still happening at IDW. I think next week's the next issue of Unicron. But I do want to do something that was mentioned in one of our emails. And I want to continue my I Was Right dance about Power Rangers. And you're saying to yourself, Deepak, Power Rangers. And I'm saying to you, yes, motherfucker, Power Rangers. Boom Studios basically let Kyle Higgins, if you don't know Kyle Higgins, he wrote the most recent New 52 Nightwing run. So if you enjoyed that, you kind of get a feel for it. And I read a really interesting interview with him on CBR today talking about how everything happened, how he got the assignment. And he said, I didn't want the assignment. It wasn't like I came in with a Power Rangers pitch. They came to me and said, he was going to tell the story. And then he had the story broken out for him. Not what they were to tell, but kind of how they were framing the series. And he said that he related it not to the Power Rangers he grew up on, but to any sort of team dynamic book about teams. It's like if you had a team full of Spider-Man in 1977, how would that look? And he said, that's the story I told. And for me, that's why it rings true. That's why it's so much fun because it's not the characters you remember them. Because let's be honest, they were limited to the structures of a 20-minute children's show. You couldn't tell big stories. There's no budget in comics. And the end of this Shattered Grid, which I haven't read Shattered Grid, the last chapter which came out today, but it's been an amazing run. Kyle Higgins leaving the series after Shattered Grid. I know they're going to be relaunching with a new team, but and they're going to be doing like the Rangers through time. We're going to be filling in or whatever. But eventually, they're going to bring our original Ranger team back, and they're going to have an adventure where they swap colors. And Trini becomes the Red Ranger, and Jason's wearing yellow, and I believe Zach's wearing pink. Billy's wearing black, and I think Kimberly's wearing the blue. And so it's something they never thought to do in the show, but they're doing it here. They're making Trini the leader. And I think, and I'm not a Power Rangers expert. I know we have someone who listens, so if I'm wrong here, I do apologize. This is only the third Red Ranger woman in the history of Power Rangers, I believe. And it's also the first woman of color to be a Red Ranger. And Red Ranger is kind of nominally, historically, the leader of the group. So this is interesting. This is cool to me. This is a representation that people say they want in comics. I would say just go find these stories because they're being told. And fuck you, Power Rangers is a cool comic book. Sorry.
I'm going to have to check out Power Rangers now.
You have to. You have to.
So, reading a lot of the same thing you're reading. Is there anything else?
No, I just currently started rereading the Green Lantern run that just ended, the Hal Jordan one. I think it's Robert Vietti's the writer. I'm about halfway through the run, and I'm just really appreciating. If you like Green Lantern, you like a good, concise story. It's 50 issues. It's a single run, and it's very well done. It's very strong. All four of the Earth Lanterns are featured in a prominent role. You get to grow through Hal, of course, but also Guy, John, and Kyle. And as a Kyle fan, I couldn't ask for much more.
Awesome. Actually, you know what? I actually have those. I have those, and because there's a Green Lantern sale, so I have those, and I have Green Lanterns as well. So, I
haven't read Green Lanterns, but I've heard good things about that one.
Yeah, so I just need to sit down and I get these sales pop up, and I just buy, and I don't read. So, so other things I'm reading that you didn't mention. Still reading Thor. I mean, it's Jason Aaron's writing.
Oh.
I'm not a fan of the art, but it's Jason Aaron's Thor, so I don't care. It's writing, so I'm there for the writing. And the art I could do without, and whatever. But the writing is still there. The writing's still great. It makes me care about everybody. I love the dog Thori.
Yo,
bro, that shit is hilarious. Like,
they went back to the original Norse and brought back Loki's kids.
Yeah.
I was like, this is great. Like, I'm very in on Aaron's story. Yeah.
Oh, and I even love the fact that because Thanos showed up in issue 4, because he had become almost like married or was dating Hela, and he shows up and basically like, I'm breaking. He basically broke up with her. Like, he broke up with her in the middle of a fight. Basically, like, so the Infinity Stones have popped back up again. So,
I'm out.
Death is around the corner, so I'm kind of going back to her.
You know what it was? It's after he came back from the future.
Yeah.
Where he won and had to kill himself to appease death. He realized that even as old Thanos told him, said, you can leave her, but you always love her.
Right. So I thought that. Yeah, so I just love it. I love that little piece because it's like it ties into everything else. And you're just like, oh, well, that means Thanos is going to be a problem for everybody else because anytime the Infinity Stones pops up, Thanos is quickly followed. So that relationship was never going to last.
Are you reading Infinity Wars?
I haven't.
Okay, I've enjoyed it so far. People are, I think, like hot and cold on it, but I read all the lead-in stuff because I'm a sucker for Cosmic Marvel, and I'm really enjoying the miniseries that's starting.
Cool, I'm going to check that out too. Let's see. We already talked about Fantastic Four, Captain America 2. Oh, Amazing Spider-Man. Nick Spencer's Amazing Spider-Man. Hilarious.
And Ryan Otley on the art. It's like he drew Invincible for all that time for a shot to draw this. It's
great. Like,
yeah.
I love how issue. I think I'm an issue behind. So I was reading issue 3, where it starts because in issue 2 you're like, wait a minute, like. Peter saw another him. So what do we do? So when issue 3 starts, you're like it's Peter out with MJ and they're bowling and you're like, wait, what the fuck? How are we doing? Like, what happened? And then they go back and tell you that moment and when when they split, and there's Peter, and then there's the other half, the Spider-Man, and they're like, we got to figure out if we're the same person or not. And we did rigorous testing, and they did rock paper scissors. Like, again, Nick Spencer. To me, Nick Spencer's a great writer. And this feels different from his Cap stuff, because that was a little bit more. It felt more serious. Although I will say, I feel like this is going to get very, very serious very, very quickly, and I'm really excited to see what it goes from that. See, I talk about this every week. Darth Vader. I mean, if you're just not reading, you're just missing out. You should be. You gotta read the Vader run. It's Vader's fucking terrifying. He's fucking terrifying. It's just what he is. And then Uber Invasion. If you're a premium member, you will hear myself and Rod talking about Uber Invasion. I just have to edit that episode, and we'll get it out on for the end of the month. I got 2 days. So but yeah, I love Uber Invasion. It's the entire Uber and read the first Uber, and then come back and read Uber Invasion. If you are a fan of history, and especially World War II history, I'm telling you, you're gonna really, really enjoy Uber, because Gillen bases he studies history. He reads the history books, and he uses that as part of his way of turning that on its head with the story he's telling, and basically taking what you think happened and these historical events and tying them in there, and it's such a fucking great book. I fucking love it. So, and that's basically it, because I spent most of my month reading a bunch of Hickman stuff, and my brain was mush.
I think our full list is reflective of the fact that we did a very deep dive on a very complicated series of comics.
Yeah, I just everything dies, and that include like my hope and dreams. So, man, I think that was it. We had a long mailbag. We thought it was gonna be a short month, and we had a long mailbag. You got anything that you want to add on this one, man?
No. End of September. I think actually after we record the mailbag, but before maybe it comes out, make sure you get your tickets for the Transformers the movie event, one night only. Google it. I can't think of the link right now off the top of my head, but Google it. We'll have a piece running on that next week as well. I'll be there if you're going to be in Atlanta. I'll be at the 7 o'clock show in the Atlantic Station. And as always, to suit me if you see me. And Dragon Con this weekend, I'll be floating around working as press for MTR. So again, you see me, that 2 Sweet, I'll say what's up.
There you guys have it. Yep. First time con for us. So I'm looking forward to what you got coming for us. As for us, again, thank you guys very much for subscribing to Super Tuesday Recap. If you guys could do us a favor, go over to the movie trailer reviews feed, not the MTR network feed, but the movie trailer reviews feed that has all of our movie reviews, just the movie reviews. And please leave us a 5-star review. You might have heard by now that Rotten Tomatoes has opened up its criteria for critics to include podcasts. One of the requirements, we meet all the other requirements. The only requirement we don't have is on the movie trailer review podcast feed, we don't have 200 reviews. I know we have more than 200 listeners. So again, if you listen to our reviews, our movie reviews, you like our movie reviews with myself and Brandon, please, please, please go movie trailer reviews, put it into iTunes, go in and leave us a 5-star review so we can try to get those up there. I mean, even if we don't get 200, as long as we get enough between myself and Phenom being in a Film Critic Association, we're really hoping that'll actually make us help us become Rotten Tomatoes critics. So, again, folks, thank you guys very much for listening, and we will be back in September. I think what we're going to do in September, because that'll be we'll be right before New York Comic Con, and we'll be going into our shows coming back a couple weeks after that. I might try to see if the Doctor and Shanna want to join us for a mailbag, so we can kind of basically turn that into an episode where we preview the fall lineup of shows coming out. Because and shoot, I even think by then The Gifted might have even started. So just stay tuned. We'll see what we're gonna do for next month. But again, folks, thank you guys very much for listening, and until next time, we're out of here. Peace.